Welcome back to Universal Insight. Please subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon for more updates. Why are there not more people talking about the real story behind Trump's tariffs and the Supreme Court? You've seen the headlines, bold, dramatic, and impossible to ignore. Supreme Court strikes down Trump's tariffs, or trillion-dollar refund coming. These stories are everywhere, splashed across news sites and social media feeds, making it sound like a historic moment has just happened. It sounds like a seismic shift in U.S. trade policy, as if the rules have changed overnight and the economic landscape is about to be transformed. The drama is real, and it's easy to get swept up in the excitement. But here's the reality check. Despite all the noise, as of September 9, 2025, the Supreme Court hasn't actually ruled on Trump's tariffs at all. There's been no final word from the nation's highest court, and no sweeping decision that changes everything. The confusion comes from lower court decisions that went against the administration. These rulings made headlines and sparked speculation, but they are not the end of the story. In the American legal system, lower court decisions can be appealed, and until the Supreme Court weighs in, nothing is truly settled. Think of it like a playoff game. Winning the semifinal isn't winning the championship. The lower courts may have made a call, but the final outcome is still up for grabs. The real championship game is just beginning. Meanwhile, the tariffs are still in effect. Businesses across the country are still paying these extra costs. Importers are still navigating complex rules, and the legal fight is only now reaching the Supreme Court's doorstep. For now, nothing has changed on the ground. The real story isn't about what's already happened, but about what could happen next. Journalists, business owners, and legal experts are all watching closely, trying to predict how the Supreme Court might rule and what it could mean for the future of U.S. trade. The biggest questions are still ahead. The outcome is uncertain, and the stakes are high. As the Supreme Court prepares to hear the case, everyone is waiting to see what the real verdict will be. The legal battle over the Liberation Day tariffs began in the U.S. Court of International Trade, a specialized federal court in New York City that handles cases involving international trade and customs laws. This court, often overlooked by the public, plays a crucial role in interpreting how the United States interacts with the global economy and enforces its trade policies. In a strongly worded decision, the court ruled that President Trump had overstepped his legal authority by imposing the Liberation Day tariffs through the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEPA. The judges emphasized that IEPA was designed to give the president certain powers during genuine national emergencies, not to bypass Congress and unilaterally set broad economic policy. According to the court, the Constitution gives Congress, not the president, the exclusive power to set taxes and tariffs on foreign goods. This separation of powers is a fundamental principle of American government, ensuring that no single branch can dominate economic policy or override the will of the people's representatives. The Trump administration quickly appealed the decision, arguing that the president needed flexibility to respond to international threats. However, the Federal Circuit Court of Appeals reviewed the case and ultimately agreed with the lower court. The judges concluded that using IEPA to impose sweeping tariffs was never what Congress intended when it passed the law. The courts used a vivid analogy. It was like giving someone a key to your house for emergencies, only to come home and find they'd remodeled your entire kitchen without asking. The message was clear: emergency powers are not a blank check for presidents to rewrite economic rules. Despite these rulings, the appeals court put its decision on hold, meaning the controversial tariffs are still being collected as the case moves toward a final showdown in the Supreme Court. The outcome could redefine the limits of presidential power over trade for years to come. After losing in the appeals court, the Trump administration took the next step in this high-stakes legal battle by appealing to the Supreme Court, hoping to overturn the lower court's decision that struck down the tariffs. This move signals just how significant the administration believes the outcome of this case could be, not just for their own policies, but for the future of presidential power over trade. The administration is asking the justices for a fast-track review, urging the court to take up the case quickly, given the sweeping economic and political implications. They argue that waiting could create uncertainty for American businesses and international partners, and that a prompt decision is needed to clarify the president's authority. Right now, the Supreme Court justices haven't even decided if they'll hear the case yet. That crucial announcement is expected tomorrow, and legal experts across the country are watching closely. If the court declines to take the case, it would leave the lower court's ruling in place, effectively ending the administration's tariff policy and setting a major precedent. If the justices decide not to intervene, the lower court's decision stands, and the tariffs are struck down immediately. This would be a significant blow to the administration's trade agenda, and could reshape how future presidents use tariffs as a tool of economic policy. On the other hand, if the Supreme Court agrees to hear the case, oral arguments could happen as soon as November. That would set the stage for months of legal debate, with a final decision likely by June 2026. The outcome could have far-reaching effects on the balance of power between Congress and the president. With a conservative majority currently sitting on the court, some legal analysts expect the administration might have an advantage. However, Supreme Court decisions are never guaranteed, and justices often surprise observers with their reasoning and votes. At its core, this case is about the separation of powers, a fundamental constitutional principle that defines the limits of each branch of government. The justices will have to weigh not just the specifics of the tariff policy, but the broader question of how much authority the president should have to act unilaterally on trade. As the nation waits for the Supreme Court's next move, one thing is clear: the outcome is far from certain, and whatever the decision, it will have lasting consequences for American law and government. The $1 trillion refund figure is the high-end estimate of what the Treasury might owe if the tariffs are ruled illegal. But refunds wouldn't go to consumers. They'd go to the importers who paid the tariffs at the border. For many companies, this could mean millions back, fueling investments or paying down debt. Financial firms are even buying up potential refund claims, betting on a Supreme Court loss for the administration. But if the court upholds the tariffs, no refunds will be issued. The fate of $1 trillion and thousands of businesses now rests with 9 justices. This case is about more than tariffs. It's about presidential power. If the court rules against the administration, future presidents will have less leeway to use emergency powers for economic policy. A win for Trump would expand executive authority, letting presidents act unilaterally on trade. This could make U.S. trade policy more unpredictable, affecting global markets and diplomatic relations. The administration is already considering other legal tools, like Section 232, to reimpose tariffs if needed. The world is watching. A ruling against the tariffs would be a win for global trade norms. Upholding them could trigger more trade wars. All eyes are on the Supreme Court. Tomorrow's decision whether to hear the case will set the course. If the court takes it, expect arguments in November and a decision by June 2026. Until then, tariffs stay in place, and businesses face uncertainty, planning for both possible outcomes. Consumers won't see direct refunds, but could benefit from lower prices if tariffs are struck down. This case is a reminder of how law, politics, and economics collide, and how a single court decision could reshape the presidency and global trade. The stakes couldn't be higher.